G'day guys. So this video I'm recording basically to help me to gather my thoughts about some stuff. So I've started a series about gym program design, and I put out the first video for that, which is about days of the week and sets per day or per week, which I'm pretty happy with that video. I think I got all the right information in there. And the next thing that I do when I'm making my program is I select exercises. So I will just write a list of all the exercises that I want to do, and that is largely based on experience, the way that I do that. I've got in my head all of the variables that are important to me, but I've found it hard to quantify all of that to write it down in a script for a video. So I want to talk about why it's hard, and that I think is going to lay a framework for how to approach it instead. I want to give an analogy. I want to talk about the number of variables that are involved in exercise selection and why that creates a problem for me in the way that I talk about things, with essentially trying to map it all out. So map is the right word for what I'm trying to do. So and this is going to turn into a little bit of a geometry lesson as well. So thank you to all the channel subscribers. Okay, geometry video and exercises. Let's go. The mental image that I want you to think about is that we've got a building. It's an office building. I've got my tie on. It should be obvious where this analogy comes from. So there's an office building, and it's got a number of work areas in it, and it's got a number of meeting rooms in it. And what we want to do is that we want to name all of the rooms in the building so that we can tell which one is which. So that I can say to somebody, I need you to meet me in meeting room 3 from this time until this time. Okay, so if I've just got a little building and there's not a large number of rooms, then having just one variable, the room number, that's fine as a coordinate system. That provides everybody with all of the information that they need to know. So what happens if we add another dimension to the situation? So it might be that we upgrade, and now we've got a building that has got more than one floor. Well, now we want to number all of the rooms on all of the floors. Every room ultimately has to have a unique code so that people can find it, so that people don't, try to go to 2 different places for the same meeting. So everybody, we're going to create a system now where the room number, it's going to include information about the level that it's on, and it's going to include the room the room number, which tells you which room it is on that floor. So now we've got 2 dimensions, right? And it basically works like this all the way up. And when if you're ever listening to people talk about higher dimensional spaces, right? This is what they're talking about. It's just that you keep adding variables, right? So let's keep doing that with the building to see how it goes. So the next thing that we might do is we might have a building that's got a north wing and a south wing. So we might say, okay, well, on the room number, we're going to include information about whether it's on the north wing or the south wing. We're going to include which level it is, and then we're going to include a number which says which room it is on that wing on that level. So that would be 3 dimensions. We might say that we've got multiple different buildings, so they're all in the same precinct, but people kind of walk between the various buildings. People might walk across the street to go to a meeting. So now the room number has to include information about which building it's in and which floor it's on and what the room number is and which wing the meeting room is in. So that becomes 4 dimensions, right? So you can see that you can keep adding dimensions as things become more complicated. We might decide that we want to have some information in our room number which tells us a little bit about the room. We might say, hey, wouldn't it be great if the room number also told whether or not there was a video conferencing system in that room, or if there was a whiteboard in that room, or if it was just a quiet room. So we say, okay, we're going to come up with some sort of category system for the different types of rooms that exist. And based on that, people, when they're looking up a room to book a meeting, they'll be able to see what to expect when they get there. We might decide to include information about how many people can sit in that room, how many chairs and tables they are, right? So that's, what do we get up to? I think that's 5 and 6 dimensions, right? So, and these new dimensions get created when the variables are able to interact with each other. So, building rooms that are here and there, you know, they have all got their own level. They have all got their own set of amenities. They have all got their own number of chairs, right? They're all in their own building. So you have freedom along each of these dimensions, right? It can be the case that they interact with each other. It can be the case that all of the rooms on one floor have got the same set of equipment in them because of the work that happens on that floor or whatever. All right. I think I've said enough about that. That's the analogy for variables and higher dimensional spaces. All right. So this is my issue, right? This is in my own brain native language. This is how I try to think about these problems. So when I say, oh, I'm going to talk to the people about exercise selection, what I want to do is create a map which tells you how to get to any room in any building and know what you're going to find there. So I want to come up with a system that's going to explain everything. It's going to explain the whole landscape, and then you can pick a room that you want to get into. That is the most customizable way of describing exercise selection, because it is a description of every possible exercise selection, right? If we label all of the dimensions that are involved and we talk about how they interact with each other, then you can find your way to any room in any building on any floor, right? So that's what I wanted to produce, okay? And here's why I can't produce it. There are too many variables to exercise selection. It does matter, for example, how fatiguing the exercise is. it does matter if that exercise, how it distributes the load across the various muscles that are involved, if there are more than one muscle involved. It does matter what the implement used is. It does matter if it's a barbell exercise or a cable exercise, right? These are all the variables that go into simply selecting a single exercise, right? And then how do you fit all of those different exercises that you're going to do together into a program that unfolds across a week, right? Without sort of holding some things constant. It's too much information. So I can't produce that document for you. Just drove past someone I know. I can't produce a video that gets into all of that detail. I can't give you a map of every room that's possible within exercise selection. So what I'm instead going to have to do is to just tell you about a couple of good ones. I'll have to essentially stake out a claim, which is that some rooms are better than others, which is not necessarily the way that I tend to go about things. It is the way that most people go about things. I think it's a fairly unique problem to my way of thinking about things, which is that I'd just like to give you the floor plan. I'd just like to explain how to go wherever, and then let you work that out for yourself. But as I mentioned, that's really not going to work. So yeah, what we're going to do instead is we're going to talk about a couple of good rooms. So I will suggest how you should categorize your exercises. I will make some suggestions about which sort of implements that you should prefer for your exercises. And I will talk about basically how many exercises of which type that I think it's good to select in an exercise program. And as I do that, I want you as the audience to know what's going on. That I'm not, that you don't have to listen to me, right? That if you're in a situation where I just need a program that works, I just need to book a room, just tell me a good one that'll fit. I'll be able to do that. If the question is help me to understand all of the rooms, as mentioned, that's not going to be an option. All right, I think I've probably made my point with the 13 and a half minutes that I've been talking. So we'll wrap it up there. And I might have another video on the drive home this afternoon about some more related points, and then I'll sit down and get to work on this script for the exercise selection video, and then that's gonna be the way that it goes. Alrighty guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk soon.